Did Lane Kiffin and Jeff Landry speak about the LSU job? Oddly, this involves me. I'll explain next. Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get great podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. And as always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you sincerely for that. And thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Well, another day of Kiffin Watch has brought even more interesting commentary, and this actually started on interestingly on Tuesday night. I was made aware of a tweet from a gentleman named Peter Hamby, and I do not know who Peter Hamby is. He says his Twitter bio is politics for Puck News, Good Luck America, formerly of CNN. Anyway, I don't know him, never met him, never spoken to him. He does follow me on Twitter, and he tweeted, Peter Hamby did, on Tuesday night. I promise this involves Lane Kiffin and LSU in the search. And he tweeted, this was at 9:36 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday night, November the 18th. LSU Lane Kiffin news. I'm reading directly. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry continues to get personally involved in the Tigers coaching hunt. At a political fundraiser in Baton Rouge tonight, Landry said he spoke to Lane Kiffin, quote, for 2 hours, end quote, about the LSU gig. But he also joked that at Matt Moscona, me, knows more about the job search than he does, per source in the room. Okay. Now, Peter Hamby clearly was not in the room. He's citing a source in the room. Now, let me be abundantly clear. I was in the room firsthand, and I was referenced in Peter Hamby's tweet, and I have since spoken to Jeff Landry about this. I will share all of that with you right now. This event was a fundraiser for the governor. I think it is important that I offer full disclosure. I did not pay to be at this event, so I was not contributing to anything for Governor Landry. If you do, if you like him, I don't care. This was an instance where I was a +1 at this event because our company, the media company, Guarantee Media, that I work for in Baton Rouge, has a lot of very good clients that were in the room. So it was a good opportunity for me to network with our clients at this event. So just for clarity, this was not something where I was paying to be at an event for the governor. I think that's important to note. So the governor worked the room. There's probably 100 people or so at the event, I would guess. And at one point, he goes up on the stage and makes remarks for less than 10 minutes, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. And it's a lot of what you would expect at a political thing. We have the best economy, we've created this many jobs, and all the stuff. And at one point, he deadpans. This was very tongue-in-cheek, and I'm paraphrasing. He says, and all I want for Christmas is a new LSU football coach. He says, I don't know who it's going to be. And he knows that I'm in the room. He says, y'all should ask Matt Moscona. He knows more about it than I do. And so there were chuckles. And he moved on, and that was it. There was no mention of Lane Kiffin at all, and certainly no mention of a 2-hour phone conversation. That certainly would have gotten my ears perked up. And it wasn't a big enough room to whereby I wouldn't have been able to hear or misunderstand something of that significance. So I replied to Peter Hamby's tweet saying this is not accurate, saying what I just said to you there. But I wanted to make certain that I didn't miss something, because maybe the governor made a comment in this night in a different setting with people. But the way that tweet is worded, it suggests that he made that comment during his remarks when he referenced me. So I did text Governor Landry on Tuesday evening. So I texted him at 10:44 p.m. and I said, I will read for you directly my text interaction with the governor. I texted him at 10:44 p.m. I said, I'm sorry to bother you so late. Did you say you spoke to Lane for 2 hours? Did I miss that? I heard you joke that you wanted a new coach for Christmas and that I knew more than you. And then I said, where did this come from? And I sent him the tweet from Peter Hamby that references this. The governor did not reply on Tuesday night. He did reply to me at 6:37 a.m. Wednesday morning. He said, no, I didn't speak to him. That's not true. LOL. Then I replied, thank you. Someone sent me that last night. I felt like I was dreaming because I feel like I would have noticed if the governor said he spoke to Lane Kiffin for 2 hours. And then he replied with some laughing face emojis. He says some people are crazy, whatever. So all that to say, I gave you that context because on the SEC coaches teleconference on Wednesday, Lane Kiffin was asked about these conflicting reports and asked to clarify. And this is what Lane Kiffin said.
And they're conflicting reports. I was going to give you a chance to set the record straight that you spoke with the governor of Louisiana here pretty recently. Did that or did that not happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't comment on that either way. So I'm not.
It is so bizarre to me. Like, look, I don't know Lane Kiffin. Okay. I've interviewed Lane Kiffin, press conferences, media days, all that sort of stuff. Post game, I do not know him. We've never sat down, had a meal. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know that Lane and I have ever had a private one-on-one conversation, just he and I, like privately. I don't think that's happened, at least not that I remember. He may know who I am. I wouldn't surprise me at all if he had no clue who I was. It's totally fine. He's been on my radio show before, but anyway, it is so odd. As good as he is on Twitter, as his quips, his ability to troll, they're outstanding. He is really bad with a microphone in front of his face at times. And that was a very easy opportunity to say, no, I have not spoken to the governor, when I just shared for you firsthand from Governor Landry saying he has not spoken at any point to Lane Kiffin, which I believe, by the way. Generally, how these types of things are done, as we've explained, are through agents. Any type of offer would be extended through an agent. Agents would be sort of this conduit. Normally, a coach wouldn't actually, you would work out terms, et cetera, through the third party, giving the coach plausible deniability. And then when a season is over, then you'd have that in-person interview to decide if you're going to consummate that deal. So I believe very much that there are people, third parties, that have spoken to Lane Kiffin, his agent, Jimmy Sexton, Nick Saban, maybe some boosters. I don't know all that. But yes, I believe it. But I believe very much when the governor tells me point blank that he's not spoken to Lane Kiffin. I don't know why Lane Kiffin wouldn't just say that's not true. So the saga persists. Oh, but that question about Jeff Landry on this SEC coaches teleconference was just a part of how this teleconference went, where Lane Kiffin was badgered for 13 minutes from reporters asking every different angle about this coaching search, and Lane Kiffin did not handle it well. I will go through some of the highlights or lowlights when we get back here on Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals. Talking about your favorite college football games, as low as $25. And the app makes it super simple. You can even see the exact view from your seat before buying. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. And finally, we're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. And we have told you about so many of the amazing NIL deals that Our Lady of the Lake has done with LSU football Tigers. Well, as we begin to transition to basketball season, players like Flau'jae Johnson, Michaela Williams, Robert Miller III, incredible, DJ Thomas Jr., great athletes at LSU that trust their health care to Our Lady of the Lake, just like me and my family do as well. It's Our Lady of the Lake, a championship health partner of LSU Athletics, continuing to support the Tigers not only on the field, but of course, the LSU Student Health Center as well, and everyday champions like you and me. Part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System, servicing the entire state of Louisiana with world-class health care hospitals, standalone clinics, specialty clinics like, of course, the Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. It's Our Lady of the Lake. Learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. So it was a very awkward teleconference for Lane Kiffin. The Rebels have an open date, so there's no game to prepare for. They're scheduled to play Mississippi State a week from Friday, Black Friday, in the Egg Bowl. And two of the 11 questions that he was asked, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like 7 or so, were all about, in varying degrees, this LSU Florida coaching search situation. And the problem that Lane Kiffin has had and continues to have is that he just will not provide definitive clarity. For example, he was asked, has Ole Miss asked you yet for clarity? This was the answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on what I've done for 6 years, which isn't talk about other jobs and that situation. And Keith and I've seen him twice already today. Keith and I have a great relationship. We communicate daily on a lot of things, and I love it here. And it's been amazing. And we're in a season that's the greatest run in the history of Ole Miss at this point. So I think it's really exciting. I think Saturday night was amazing. So I'm just living in the moment. And our players are too. I see their joy about the practice season, where they're at, and to have so much on the line. It's just awesome to be a part of.
He just continues to not answer the question. And as this went along, and I, by the way, I don't think it's surprising. That's been his MO at this point. But every time he talks and refuses to answer very direct questions, it makes it even more awkward. For example.
Yeah, Lane, do you expect to coach next week as you're preparing for this game?
Do you know something I don't know?
I'm asking you.
Do I expect to coach next week? Why would I not expect to coach next week? I expected to coach in Florida too. So I don't even understand the question how I would not expect to coach next week. Why would I be at work?
Is there any reason you wouldn't see yourself, any situation in which you wouldn't think you'd be coaching this team moving forward beyond next week?
No, I don't. We're game planning. We just practice. I don't even understand how that would happen. So you must be missing something.
I don't understand how that would happen. Well, it would happen if you take another job that you refuse to decline your interest in. There was this as well when Wilson Alexander, the advocate, talked to him about his family making the trips to Baton Rouge and Gainesville.
Lane, what did your family learn on its trips to Gainesville and Baton Rouge that could be informative as you make a decision?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not getting on any speculation or stories of things having to do with other jobs. I've said that about 10 times, but I understand. I got to ask him.
There's the difference is that's not speculation about other jobs. That is literally his family going to Gainesville and Baton Rouge. There are photos. There are planes. This is not disputable. This is fact. Your family visited these two cities. Why? What did they learn? The inability to answer the question is the answer to the question. Oh, there was more, by the way. It's as cringe as it is. Did you ever see the movie swingers. And you know when if you've never seen it, check it out. But there's a scene where Jon Favreau's character is calling a lady on the phone, and this is a time where there's answering machines, and he starts leaving a message, and it's awkward. And then he calls back and leaves another awkward message, and he gets cut off. And then he keeps calling over and over again. He keeps getting, you're like, man, just stop. Please stop calling. That's what this felt like, listening to every answer. There was more.
When do you hope to have some clarity and provide some clarity on your future with Ole Miss and also the other parties that are seeking your services at this moment?
I mean, like I said, I'm saying the same thing for 6 years. I'm not talking about speaking on other jobs. I'm focused on this one. And I guess that's kind of spiraling off the question before, like, are you coaching in the game? Like, I don't even understand what the question is. Like, of course I'm coaching. I mean, unless you guys know something I don't, or I'm getting fired and I don't know it.
Is there a possibility you could take another job before the postseason?
I'm not speaking on other jobs.
You cannot ask more direct questions than Lane Kiffin was asked. Is there a possibility you could take more jobs? When do you expect to have clarity? Do you expect to coach the Egg Bowl? What did your family learn in their trips to Baton Rouge and Gainesville? And he can't answer it. And it's why I keep saying, listen, I'm not trying to beat up Lane Kiffin here. This is not something that is unique to Lane Kiffin. Coaches leave for other jobs every year. Coaches leave their teams, the players they recruited, the cultures they built to take other jobs. It's part of the coaching profession. It is a transient business. You elevate in this profession by job hopping. It happens. There's casualties in every one of these things. So I'm not trying to hammer Lane Kiffin here because he's in a situation that is not unique to Lane Kiffin. But the point that I've continued to make is actions speak louder than words. He's had his contract extension at Ole Miss. He hasn't been able to sign it or hasn't signed it. He is asked very direct questions about other jobs, which he refuses to answer. The best way to make all of this conversation stop, you know who nobody asks about jobs anymore? Dan Lanning. Why? Dan Lanning goes on the Rich Eisen show and says this.
Yeah, I'm not leaving Oregon. Yeah, as long as I win. That's what I always tell my kids. Yeah. Right. If your dad wins, we'll be at Oregon. So I gotta win. Right. That's how it changes.
There is a way for all of these questions to stop. It's Lane Kiffin to answer it that way. He can't. He won't, because in his mind he's leaving. He wants to continue coaching his team through this run. Ole Miss is not going to let him. Now the timeline becomes the other interesting thing, and I do believe. Look, Ole Miss is going to practice on Thursday. And then their team is going to be off for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They'll reconvene Sunday before getting ready for the Egg Bowl week. Is my understanding that Keith Carter, the athletic director, and Lane Kiffin are going to meet probably Friday to try to get some semblance of an idea. Maybe the word that the person asked in that question was, as Ole Miss asked for clarity, whatever that is. Are you leaving? Are you staying? What are we doing? Let's have a plan. Because, again, Ole Miss is going to have to start moving forward in their search for a new coach if Lane Kiffin is leaving. And if he's staying, then he can sign his extension and they can put out a big press release. And this is all buried before they start the Egg Bowl week. But as awkward as that press conference is, every day that passes that Lane Kiffin has a press conference and media availability, it's going to be more of that. Monday, he'll have media availability. On Wednesday, he'll be back on the coach's teleconference. He'll have another media availability during the week. He'll have to do his media obligations before the Egg Bowl for the game. He's going to be asked about it in the postgame press. Like, it's not going away. These questions aren't going anywhere until he gives an answer. And every time he speaks on it, it's awkward and just creates more questions surrounding the whole thing. And Ole Miss is the one being dragged along here. And ultimately, they are going to have finality and answer from Lane Kiffin to know if they're moving forward with him as their coach or if they're beginning a coaching search in earnest now so they don't miss out on who could potentially be their top candidate to replace Lane Kiffin if, in fact, he's leaving for LSU or for the University of Florida. I do believe, even if we don't know it publicly, they may meet Kiffin and Keith Carter may meet during this open date week and come up with a plan that we may not know publicly until after the Egg Bowl. I think that's what they would like to have happen. But boy, it certainly seems like if some decision is made that it would leak. It would be hard to persist throughout the course of this week. Not knowing the answer to that question. So the beat goes on. And with every day that passes, we're one day closer to finality and knowing what LSU will do in their coaching search, Florida will do in their coaching search, and potentially Ole Miss in theirs. And we'll have it all for you right here on Locked on LSU. Hey, thanks so much for making this your first listen. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And let a friend know that if they love the Tigers, we got you here every single day for Locked on LSU. It's your team every day.